Hi, Queens. Snowy here. And if you're new to my channel, hi, my name is Snowy. I am the founder of Poetic Touch. I am also a self-discovery coach and an online hatha yoga instructor. Really, I just help women of color to discover happier, healthier, and calmer versions of themselves through spirituality and yoga. So anyway, like, share, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, Poetic Touch. Let's get into it. I got notes right here, so bear with me if I happen to look down a bit, just trying to make sure that I don't miss anything, okay? This video is going to be about the journey from religion to spirituality. Religion is a foundation that's pretty much instilled in us from birth, from childhood. It's predetermine the religion that you're going to be before you're even born. It's a very strong foundation across across the world, but it is also historically deep in Black households. I say all that to say that oftentimes, I know from my personal experience growing up, I did go to church quite a bit. My Nana is actually a minister. She has her own church. It's always been the thing. It's always been a way of life. It was never a question. And so with that, oftentimes things that are not religion or are not Christianity, to be, precise, oftentimes they are looked at as taboo. You could see the conflict there, because really it's almost like if it's not Christianity, it's taboo. It's, well, the word that I always heard growing up was it's witchcraft, right? So everything is witchcraft. I'm going to get back to that note in a little bit, though, later in the video. But you could see that that's a conflict of views, because if it's not Christianity, then it is, taboo in pretty much, I think I can safely say in most Christian households that is the case. And this is my personal perception. Now, I view spirituality as your own personal journey. So your self-discovery journey primarily is what I am focused on. Excuse me, I have a little bit of a cold. Isn't it cute? Anyway, spirituality is a personal journey. It's something that only you can really travel for yourself and through yourself. Now, religion is the vessel to which you practice this personal journey, if that makes any sense. So you have your own ideals and your own beliefs about yourself and how you want to grow and how you want to establish yourself. And 9 times out of 10, you focus on that through the vessel of your religion. So whatever religion that you are, whether you're a Christian or you're Muslim, it doesn't matter. The religion is the vessel to which you travel along your own journey, your own self-discovery journey, or your own spiritual journey, right? And again, this is not like a specific, it's not a definition that I found. It's just my personal belief and my personal take on it. So if there's something that I say and it doesn't resonate with you, let it go. If something that I say does resonate with you, take it and maybe ponder it a little bit. Question how it resonates and if it really does. And then from there you can say, okay, maybe I'll take like a nugget of that sentiment, of that statement, because that's what I got from it, if that makes sense, So don't take everything that I say as full face value, because everyone has different viewpoints, different perspectives, different experiences. So take what resonates, and whatever doesn't, just leave it at the door. So with that, spirituality is the actual journey itself, the self-discovery journey, but the religion is the vessel to which you practice this or you navigate through. Takes me to my next point. Yoga is not a religion. Straight up. It is a philosophy more so than anything. It's a lifestyle, a way of being. And and it has absolutely nothing to do with your religion. Yoga is spiritual. Spirituality is your personal journey, right? Because this is what yoga is. And there's a famous quote from the Bhagavad Gita, and it says, the moment that I say that, I want to I want to brain fart, but it says, yoga is the journey of the self, through the self, and to the self. If that makes any, I hope you get it. It's really like you use yoga as a method to discover yourself, to go through yourself, and to find yourself again. Okay? So yoga is spiritual. It is not a religion at all. You can be a Christian yogi. You could be a Muslim yogi. This is why you see yoga all across the world in many different cultures, because it is a spiritual practice. It's not a religion. The next note that I want to say is that there are many parallels when it comes to religion and yoga. And as I mentioned before, growing up, things that weren't clearly Christian were considered taboo or witchcraft. I just wanted to kind of bring a couple examples, because when you've lived your life with in this particular vessel, i.e. your religion, and these a lot of these teachings have been ingrained within you, and you've taken them to heart, depending on, the level of devotion that you've practiced. But in any regard, when you begin to see things from another perspective and you begin to grow spiritually, there's a really good chance that you might begin to outgrow your religion, the vessel that you're currently in. I hope these dots are connecting. So yeah, it can be there is a really good chance that you might have outgrow the vessel that you're in, right? Which might be the particular religion. It can be really hard to see things from a different perspective. No, there's a term for it. I don't want to go there. It's called cognitive dissonance. Simply put, cognitive dissonance is when you begin to learn that the things that you thought are not what you thought, and you have your little disillusioned by it, and so you kind of create this mental distance between what it is that you're learning and what it is that you used to know. And it can get very hard. It can be very tough. Like when you find out that maybe some of the teachings that you've been taught are not all what you thought, or they are not all what you thought that they would be, or maybe you just start to see some faults in between some of the things. Maybe you just don't align with everything that is a part of the religion, and these are completely normal things. Again, this goes to when you reach a point of spiritual growth to which you can't sit in such a small vessel, such a small pot. You have to grow, and you have to remove yourself, and you have to replant yourself into something that's larger, that fits you, right? But that process can be shocking. It can be very shocking to the plant to have to change from a smaller pot to a big pot, to be uprooted and placed in a completely new, different, sterile environment, bigger than it used to be. It takes time to get comfortable, to see, like, okay, am I safe? All right. Now, I just want to say that some of the things that really opened my eyes, my disclaimer is that though I grew up in the church, I've never been very religious. When I was a child, I had to go all the time, and I dressed up and I did the whole thing, but I was never into it, really. Like, it's something that you had to do, but I was never really into it, right? It was always weird to me. And some of the contradictions that I understood, they just threw me off, and I wasn't a fan of them. That takes me to the next point, which is there are a lot of parallels when it comes to church and witchcraft, or church and rituals. Now, I don't mean to scare you, but just opening up your eyes to these things might help. And that's the goal, right? So there's just 3 examples here, and I just want to go over them quickly, but I just really want to make you think about it. So some of the parallels would be like, and I mean, I guess this depends too on the type of church that you went to, but most Black churches, during the sermon or, praise and worship, it's not uncommon for people to go and to, become consumed and start shouting tongues and start dancing and convulsing and doing all of these things. I can't think of the term of what it is right now, but there's a term for it, like you receive the Holy Ghost and you start speaking tongues and you start dancing, you start, doing all of these things, and people start passing out, and they start, they place a white sheet over you. I don't know if this is like every church, but the church I grew up in, this is what they did. And you'd go and you'd shout and you'd do this whole thing, and you'd lay there and be in your moment, be in your thing. And I'm not saying that they are not experiencing anything, because by all means they are being possessed, okay? Now, however you want to view it, whether it's by the Holy Ghost or something pretending to be the Holy Ghost, that is a completely different video. You have to understand that they're being possessed, and what they're doing is semi-ritualistic, okay? What's the purpose of placing the white sheet over the person after they've done their whole thing? What is that? What's going on there? All right, so that's 2 little examples. The whole shouting in tongues and the white sheet over them afterwards, right? So the next one, which is, to me, it's really the most, it really hit me deep when I had this whole what the? Everybody knows about communion. It happens. You go and you have your bread and you have your cranberry juice and you, I don't know, I can't think of what it is. I haven't been to church in years. But you drink the blood of Christ and you eat the bread, right? Let's take a second. Let's think about this. You're supposed to be drinking the blood of another being, an entity. You're supposed to consume blood, whether it's real blood or not. It's ritualistic and it's a visualization. You understand? And then you're eating the flesh. You're eating his flesh, a cracker, right? You're consuming, and you're doing it in a visualization, because it literally says, this is the blood of Christ. And you sit there and you drink this red representative of blood. You visualize it as being the blood of Christ. You fucking consume it, and you eat this bread that is also supposed to be of him. Would you ever in your life consume someone else? Imagine a stranger goes and they cut their finger and you'd freak the fuck out. Am I lying? Blood is one of the ickiest things. Maybe it's not necessarily icky, but it's definitely something that's intimate, and it's not something that you share with everybody. Now, to imagine yourself, to visualize yourself consuming the blood of another, you have to understand that that's deep. That's deep, okay? Now, again, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but when it's all said and done, you have to also be very realistic in this thinking. Yeah, I'm just gonna wrap this video up real quickly with a couple tips for your spiritual path, right? Because again, it's a new journey. It's something that maybe you've always heard that spirituality is a bad thing, or that it's a negative thing, or that it's witchcraft, or that it's of the devil. But then you realize that you've been consuming and you've been possessed at church for years on years on years, and a lot of the things that are being said and a lot of the readings and the teachings are completely contradictory to what it is that you believe, right? Now, I know that it's easy to get excited and to get motivated and to want to share this newfound understanding and passion with other people, but You have to really understand that everybody has a different path, a different clock, and a different alarm. Can't go off waking people up when they're supposed to be sleeping. If the egg's not ready, it won't hatch. You see? So with that, no shaming. Just because other people are still ingrained and they still believe the things that, they were taught when they were young, it's no one's fault, and there's no fault to be placed, right? So no shaming people. Yourself either. Don't down your own self, and don't allow anyone to shame you for having a different belief. Okay? The next thing is going to be self-acceptance. Acceptance of those who taught you wrong. You only do what you know. And if you are doing things with the intent of doing something good and it just so happens to be a little harmful, well, I mean, by all means, it's understandable. You have to come with a level of understanding that this is something that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. Religion is something that's deeply ingrained in us and in our society. And so you have to just understand and accept that everything happens for a reason. It's not to say that just because you're leaving your religious state now that you disown all of the lessons and the teachings that you've gained, because you don't. And I'm not saying that religion is bad. I'm just saying that if you are transitioning from that, just know that it's okay. It's okay to accept, like, okay, I was taught this, but they didn't know, and they were doing the best, and you just have to come from a level of understanding, okay? Takes me to the next one I just kind of mentioned. Don't throw all of your knowledge away. Don't throw everything that you learned in your, in your teaching or in your schooling. Don't throw it all away just because you're headed on a new path. It's all said and done, it comes back to spirituality, which is the journey of the self. Your religion is just the vessel you were using. You don't keep every article of clothing that you've worn your entire life. No, you discard some of them after a while. You give them away. You see? So yeah, and then lastly, just to round this up, long story short, keep what resonates and what doesn't, just leave it at the door, okay? So if there's anything that I said that you took in a negative light, I apologize. It wasn't my intention. However, also maybe you should look up cognitive dissonance and maybe see if you can get an understanding as to maybe why that triggered you, what I said, and why you feel that way. Yeah, whatever resonates, please just consider. I'm not saying take everything as full face value, because I've been on the spiritual journey for a very long time. So take what resonates with you, see how it resonates, see how you could fit it into your own life, and then what doesn't, just go ahead and let it go. Just leave it. All right, guys. It's my absolute honor, as always, my pleasure to serve you, and I thank you for watching. Bye.